The White House, it is a very grand place, of course. Heads of state, national leaders constantly coming in and out of that magnificent building. The president, the first lady, and again, visiting dignitaries. It's just an incredible place. And not only do you have political leaders, but you have celebrities. All administrations do this from time to time. Let's see. Yep, there he is with the people. But Matthew McConaughey, that so-so actor, showed up. And let's see, who else? Olivia Rodrigo. They were there during the Biden administration. But celebrities come no matter who is the president. You can forget, if you're walking around the White House or if you observe the White House, that it truly is the people's house. Actually, you could forget that before Trump became president again. He is so about the people. And we saw that in just a really moving and just kind of unspeakably emotional moment today at the White House. First, the president met with Mrs. Moran, and she lost her daughter, Rachel, to an illegal alien killer in Maryland. There she is, Rachel, 5 children, mother of 5. And they had her speak. They brought her to the podium. That's the killer right there. They brought her to the White House podium, and she had something to say. And folks, this is a little bit longer than usual, but I think her words are very, very important. You know, Maryland is in the news right now because of illegal aliens and Democrats doing everything they can to bring those illegal aliens back to Maryland. Well, she knows what it's like to lose somebody to an illegal alien right there in Maryland.
When she went on that trail that day, she was not planning on dying. She wasn't planning on walking to her death. She was planning on going to the grocery store with her girls afterwards. Victor Martinez, he waited for her. He waited for her to come closer. He saw her. He saw that there was nobody around. He attacked her. He dragged her 150 feet, blood gushing from her head. It left a 150-foot trail of her blood to the culverts, where he picked her up, he threw her against the wall of the tunnel, and he raped her. But before he did that, he stopped on that trail, and rocks, still stained with her blood, he used them to hammer her head against those rocks. They say at least 20 times they could count the cuts in her head. They said that when they did the autopsy, and I've seen the pictures, there's a 6-inch square in the back of her head where the skull is shattered the way that you would crush an eggshell in pieces. 3/4 of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face bashed in. Her beautiful face bashed in. Her head bashed in. Broken bones, fractures. He takes and he drags her.
Tough stuff. And it continues. And at this moment, Democrats are working very, very hard to bring illegal alien criminals back to her home state.
To them, this is nothing. And when he was sitting in the courtroom, he actually looked like he thought he was going to be set free. There was no remorse on his face at all. This person took my daughter so violently and so gruesomely and so graphically that they sealed the pictures, because I don't want my granddaughters to see these pictures. These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country. These are the kind of criminals that we need to remove from our country. We are American citizens. Why should we allow people like this, violent criminals that have no conscience at all, to murder our mothers, our sisters, our daughters? I don't understand why there's even any kind of problem with this. And it's not that it's political, like the left or the right, although I understand different parties have used it in the past. But we have to look at it as we are American citizens. We need to protect our families, our borders, our children. I don't care about politics. Well, I do, but I want to preserve life. And that's the only reason why I have taken and spoken about Rachel all this time.
So now here comes the part about you can't argue with her. She is right. There's no universe in which she's wrong. But there are Democrats right now who would argue with her and are trying to bring illegal alien criminals back to her home state.
And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this. Thank you.
So the senator she mentioned, it's Chris Van Hollen, and yeah, it goes down to El Salvador to try to bring back an illegal criminal alien, and he's pretty happy about it, and he thinks he's being hip about it by putting it all on social media. Right, Chris?
The goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
Kilmar Abrego, whatever his name, is right there, and has already been basically decreed a gang member. America tried to deport him once before. He allegedly, I think it's actually already been adjudicated. There are police reports that he slapped around his wife very, very viciously, and he's portrayed as a Maryland man. Have you heard this? He's just a Maryland man. When I first heard it, well, they just grabbed some American citizen off the street? No, they didn't. But publication after publication just calls him a Maryland man. It really is kind of funny. And if they don't say Maryland man, they say husband and father.
A federal judge said today that the administration has done nothing to facilitate the return of the husband and father Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the father of 3 deported to a mega prison in El Salvador.
Abrego Garcia is, of course, the Maryland husband and father who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
All right. I mean, like, as if that means anything. It's John Wayne Gacy. Remember that guy, the clown with 57 kids under the house that he dug up and made a grave for? Husband and father. Jeffrey Dahmer, why don't we call him a son and brother persecuted by the state of Wisconsin? It's pathetic, isn't it? All right, so who's giving the administration a hard time? That Boasberg character is still around. 2 impeachments, a hoax, phony prosecutions, and they haven't let up. This Boasberg character came up with a pretty big, convoluted motion that says, essentially, I think he's making the case that they can throw President Trump in jail because he violated a temporary restraining order that, or temporary order that said that that guy had to be flown back to America, but the Supreme Court said, no, your order is invalid, but he's still trying to bend over backwards to say, no, it should have happened. He's not to be believed. And actually, this impeachment stuff might be a good remedy. He's totally conflicted. His daughter, what's his situation again? I'm sorry, but this is applicable. Daughter of Judge Boasberg works for the nonprofit Partners for Justice that gives criminal illegal migrants legal advice. You can do that, but I think you have to kind of, what's the word? Recuse yourself from the case. The wife seems to be a pretty hardcore liberal. All right, you can do that, but I think you got to recuse yourself from the case. All right. Also this.
As Donald Trump launches an authoritarian crackdown on free speech while pursuing retribution against his enemies.
Another escalation of retributive action.
Business community intimidated by Donald Trump and his threats of retaliation and retribution.
Okay, retribution. That's a horrible thing. Horrible, horrible thing. Actually, no, not really. Retribution. You can look it up. Oxford Dictionary. Punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. You see, he was wronged. The wrong criminal act. And what was that? When they threw him in jail, when they prosecuted him, when they persecuted him, that was wrong. And I've heard some people who know that's wrong just say, well, we have to move on, and he shouldn't do that because it was done to him. There has to be accountability. And these people broke the law. Let's put up the prosecutors one by one. I think they're all going down. And they're not the only ones, of course. They had a lot of help. I mean, basically, the establishment, half the country almost. Tish James, let's focus on her for a moment. She is the Attorney General of New York State. But she's got a big problem. Some documents have been uncovered that suggests, well, she broke the law. And for her, that's a real problem, especially her.
My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it.
All right. Well, if that's the case, she's going to have to resign soon. We'll get to it. She was the one who not only sued Trump, but stalked him over that phony property value stuff. There he is in court. And look at her, just kind of showing up and creepily looking at him day after day, like he was the prey and she was the hunter. It was pretty sick, weird stuff. But here's the problem. She owns a house, it looks like, in Virginia. And documents have been uncovered, and it indicates that she has declared this house her primary residence and did it as recently as 2023. Yeah, take a look at the documents uncovered by Sam Antar and Jill Gilbert. I hereby declare that I intend to occupy this property as my principal residence. All right, again, in Virginia, Letitia James, self, right? It's her house. Next, please. And she signs a thing. And there are all other kinds of anomalies. You know, did she declare her father, her husband on a previous property? It's not good. And she could be in very serious trouble. She sounds to me nervous.
My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you.
Yeah, not only does she sound nervous, she sounds a little bit stupid. I'm sorry. An attorney, the grammar's all screwed up. And listen for the word, let's see what she say here, emancipation. I think she means to say something else, but watch.
One founded on respected diversity, willful Republicans, standing feckless, emancipated. The Trump administration is systematically dismantling fought civil rights gains at the United States Supreme Court.
You catch that? Emancipated! That made no sense. I think she was trying to put down Republicans saying that they're not doing enough to stop President Trump. I think she meant to say emasculated, but it came out emancipated, and that happens to all of us from time to time, but with her a lot. I want to reiterate the case against President Trump that she waged was a phony one. She said that the president grossly inflated assets. Who are you going to trust when it comes to real estate? This, Letitia, emancipated James, or President Trump?
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.